Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're plunging into the reign of a truly extraordinary figure from ancient Egypt, Seti the Rest.
Yes, a pharaoh who emerged right after one of Egypt's most, well, chaotic periods.
Exactly. Imagine this. Egypt is fractured, it's vulnerable, kind of reeling from imperial decline after Akhenaten's whole religious revolution, a real mess. And that's the stage Seti I steps onto. He's the pharaoh seemingly destined to reclaim that lost glory, restore the old ways, the ancient order.
And he aimed to carve his name in history, not just through, military power, but also through absolutely unparalleled art.
So our mission today really is to unpack how Seti I, whose name fascinatingly means of Set, a god sometimes linked with chaos.
Right, the irony there.
How did he become this great restorer? How did he navigate that turbulent aftermath to actually rebuild an empire?
Yeah, what challenges did he face and what's the legacy he left? Because it's quite surprising in some ways and definitely enduring.
Okay, so let's start with what he inherited. The 18th dynasty, as we said, didn't exactly end smoothly. What was the situation like? Internal problems, external pressures.
Well, it was frankly a bit of a disaster zone. We often call it the Amarna aftermath.
Right.
Internally, Akhenaten's religious reforms, focusing on the Aten, meant the traditional gods were basically ignored. Their temples were neglected, falling apart even.
So huge social upheaval then.
Massive social upheaval. It wasn't just about religion. It really tore at the fabric of Egyptian society. And then externally, you had Egypt's crucial territories, the Levant, Canaan, Syria.
Yeah.
They were seriously compromised. Pressure was mounting, especially from the Hittites. This major rival power just getting stronger and stronger.
And into this whole chaotic scene steps Seti I, son of Ramses I, the second pharaoh of this brand new 19th dynasty.
Yeah, it's him. And the job he faced, I mean, the scale of the undertaking was just colossal.
He wasn't just taking the throne, was he?
No, not at all. He was inheriting a kingdom in pieces, really. His mission was twofold. Reestablish religious and social stability at home and project power abroad to get back that lost influence, those lost territories.
Huge ambition needed there.
Immense ambition, yeah. And strategic thinking, too.
Okay, this is where it gets really fascinating for me. Seti I, the warrior king. How did he actually go about reasserting Egypt's military strength, dealing with the Hittites?
Well, his military activity, especially in the first decade, is actually pretty well documented. We have those incredible battle scenes at Karnak, various royal stelas.
So what did he do first?
In his very first year, year one, he leads his armies out along the Horus Military Road. That's the key coastal route from Charu up into Canaan.
Right.
And he immediately gets into conflict with local Bedouin groups, the Shasu. Some cities offered tribute pretty quickly, saw which way the wind was blowing.
But not all of them.
No, others like Beth Shan and Yanoam had to be captured. We actually have his victory stele from Beth Shan confirming that.
I heard there's also a detail, maybe a slightly controversial one, about another group he fought early on.
Yes, the Apiru. He defeated these Asian nomads, and, well, some scholars have drawn a line, maybe controversially, connecting them to the early Hebrews. It's still debated,
Interesting. And his campaigns went further north, too.
They did, into Lebanon. He basically compelled the local chiefs there to cut cedar wood for Egypt. Hugely important resource, cedar.
So not just focused eastward, then, any other military fronts?
Oh, yeah. He also had to deal with Libyan tribesmen invading from the west, push them back successfully. And that was actually kind of a foreshadowing of bigger problems to come later from Libya.
Right.
And then down south, in Nubia, year 8, he put down what's described as a minor rebellion. It's possible his son, the Crown Prince Ramesses, the future Ramesses II, was even involved in that campaign.
But the big one, the main event of his foreign policy, was Kadesh, right?
Kadesh, absolutely.
Right.
You could argue it was his greatest foreign policy achievement. Egypt hadn't controlled Kadesh since Akhenaten's time, so getting it back was huge.
How did he manage it?
He defeated a Hittite army that was defending the city, marched in triumphantly, apparently with young Ramesses beside him, and put up a victory stele. Major propaganda win.
But did it last? Kadesh is famous later for Ramesses II's battle there.
That's the crucial point. It didn't last. Kadesh pretty quickly reverted back to Hittite control. Egypt just couldn't maintain a permanent military garrison that far north.
So less of a conquest, more of a raid or a statement.
More like an assertion of dominance, maybe an informal understanding reached, but definitely not a formal peace treaty. And you're right, it perfectly sets the stage for Ramesses II's later famous and frankly less successful attempt to take it back definitively.
So it sounds like the traditional view of Seti fully restoring the empire needs a bit of tweaking.
Yeah.
Based on recent scholarship.
Exactly. The older view is this grand restoration. But recent work suggests maybe only those northernmost provinces, like Kutch and Amuru, were truly lost during Amarna. Seti focused on securing those key buffer zones, projecting power, rather than reconquering every inch of territory held generations before.
Okay, that makes sense. Which brings up a really key question. How long did he actually rule to achieve all this? Because there seems to be some debate.
It's a classic Egyptological puzzle. The ancient historian Manetho said 55 years, but there's just zero evidence for that. It's totally off.
Right.
Kenneth Kitchen, a major scholar, initially estimated about 15 years. But the problem is we don't have any dated inscriptions for Seti after year 11 Astila from Gebel Barkal.
So the evidence points shorter.
Yeah, the strong evidence really points towards a shorter reign, probably 10 or maybe 11 full years.
What kind of evidence are we talking about? What points to that shorter timeline?
A big clue is how finished or unfinished his building projects were. In year 9, down the S1 quarries, he ordered all this work for very great obelisks and great and wondrous statues, huge plans.
Okay.
But most of those monuments, things like the famous Flaminian obelisk now in Rome or the Luxor obelisk, they were only partly finished, partly decorated when he died.
Ah, so his son had to finish them.
Exactly. Ramesses II had to jump in and complete them. Plus, big chunks of the temples at Gurna and Abydos, right in his first year as pharaoh. He even used his early throne name, Usermacher, on those completions.
Which suggests Seti didn't have much longer.
Precisely. If Seti had ruled for, say, 15 years, you'd expect much more to have been fully completed under his name.
It really does sound like he was working against the clock, doesn't it? Given how much he started.
It does seem that way. And there's other evidence, too. Wine jars inside his tomb, KB-17.
Right, the famous tomb.
The labels on the wine jars found there, none of them are dated higher than year 8, which again fits much better with the reign ending around year 10 or 11, not year 15 or later.
So piecing it all together, it looks like his life was cut short unexpectedly.
It really does seem that way, especially compared to his father, Ramesses I, and his son, Ramesses II, who both lived to quite advanced ages. Seti's reign, though impactful, was relatively brief.
But wow, what an impact in that time. He wasn't just a warrior. His art, his architecture. That's maybe what he's most famous for today, and it's just breathtaking.
Oh, absolutely breathtaking. His temple at Abydos, many consider it one of the absolute pinnacles of ancient Egyptian art from any period.
What makes it so special?
The reliefs.
Yeah.
The low-relief carvings are just stunning. They're incredibly delicate, so detailed. They almost seem alive. The level of subtlety his artists achieved is just, well, unparalleled.
Wow.
And inside that temple, you have the famous Abydos king list, a list of 76 pharaohs before him.
That was about legitimacy, right? Connecting himself back after the Amarna disruption.
Exactly. A powerful statement. I belong to this long, unbroken line of legitimate rulers. Very clever political move, embedded in stunning art.
Powerful stuff. What else did he build?
Well, he built his mortuary temple at Korna on the west bank at Thebes, and he started the great hypostyle hall at Karnak Temple, that vast forest of columns.
Which Ramesses II then finished.
Which Ramesses II famously finished, yes. Seti laid the groundwork. And his capital city was Memphis, the traditional administrative heartland.
But his tomb, KV-17 in the Valley of the Kings, that deserves its own focus. It's legendary.
It really is. Discovered by Giovanni Belzoni back in 1817, and it's huge. It's the longest, about 446 feet, 136 meters, and the deepest royal tomb from the New Kingdom.
Incredible scale. What else makes it stand out?
It was the very first tomb where they decorated every single passageway and chamber, not just the burial chamber. And the painted reliefs are incredibly vibrant, exceptionally well preserved for a long time.
What do they show?
Complex religious texts. Things like the Book of Gates, the Book of Amduat, essentially guidebooks for the pharaoh's journey through the underworld to achieve rebirth.
And the sarcophagus?
Ah, the sarcophagus, massive. Carved from a single block of alabaster, intricately decorated. It's actually in London now, in Sir John Soane's museum.
How did it end up there?
Bit of a story. Belzoni offered it to the British Museum, but they apparently wouldn't pay his price. So the architect, Sir John Soane, snapped it up for his private museum.
Huh. And it's changed over time, hasn't it? The alabaster.
Sadly, yes. Originally, it was this beautiful, translucent white alabaster, apparently inlaid with blue copper sulfate-based. But years of London's air quality, the fog and pollution back then, have darkened the stone, and the blue inlay is gone. Still magnificent, though.
And then there's the mystery of the secret tunnel.
Yes. Behind the sarcophagus chamber. Belzoni explored part of it, thought it went on for maybe 100 meters. but it wasn't fully cleared until much later.
When was that?
There was work in 1961, and then a big project in 2010 led by Dr. Zahi Hawass. They found it actually extends an amazing 174 meters. That's over 570 feet.
Wow. Did it lead anywhere? A hidden chamber?
Unfortunately, no. It seems the final section was roughly cut, perhaps abandoned unfinished. No secret burial chamber at the end. But it just shows the incredible ambition and, well, the mystery still hidden in these tombs.
So Seti dies relatively young, maybe less than 40. A stark contrast to his father and son, as you said. What do we know about how he died?
Well, his mummy is one of the best preserved royal mummies we have. Examinations showed no signs of violence causing death.
But wasn't it damaged later?
Yes, unfortunately, tomb robbers decapitated him after burial. But the priests, who later rewrapped and moved the royal mummies, actually reattached his head quite carefully with linen bandages.
Any clues about cause of death from the mummy itself?
Nothing definitive. Some scholars suggest maybe a long-term illness, possibly heart-related. There's an intriguing detail. His heart was found placed on the right side of his chest during mummification, not the usual left. The significance isn't totally clear, but it's unusual.
Interesting. And we know his height.
Yeah, he was about 1.7 meters tall, so around 5'7"
And his mummy, of course, remains incredibly important. Many people would have seen it move during that spectacular Pharaoh's Golden Parade in Cairo in 2021.
Absolutely. A reminder of his enduring presence and significance, even thousands of years later.
Now, speaking of how we understand Seti today, there's another common idea about his reign that modern scholarship has really looked at again. The co-regency, the idea that he ruled with his famous son, Ramesses II, for a time.
Ah, yes, the co-regency question. The scholarly consensus now is that the evidence for a true co-regency, meaning Ramesses ruling as an equal king alongside Seti, is largely illusory, is the word Peter Brand uses.
Peter Brand, the Seti expert.
That's him. He makes a strong case. Seti did appoint Ramesses as crown prince and successor around year 9 of his reign. Ramesses was given important roles, shown in reliefs.
But not actually crowned king alongside his father.
The evidence points against it. Brand argues many of those reliefs showing them together were actually carved after Seti died by Ramesses himself. It was retrospective propaganda, basically presenting himself as having shared power earlier.
So Ramesses was sort of rewriting history a little.
Well, enhancing his resume, perhaps. Even scholars who earlier supported the co-regency idea, like William Murnane, later revised their views. Kenneth Kitchen calls it more of a prince regency, meaning Ramesses had all the trappings of royalty, high status, military command, but he didn't start counting his own regnal years. His official reign didn't begin until after Seti actually died.
Are there inscriptions that support that?
Yes. Inscriptions from Ramesses' own early reign, like his Abydos dedicatory inscription or the Kuban stela, consistently referred to his time under Seti using only crown prince titles, not kingly ones.
So when Ramesses II claims later that Seti crowned him king even as a child in his arms, that's more poetry than fact.
Pretty much. It's a dramatic, self-serving claim to boost his own legitimacy. His role as chosen successor, crown prince, that was absolutely accurate, but co-king, the evidence just isn't there.
Okay, so pulling all this together, what's Seti Sex's real place in the grand sweep of Egyptian history? How should we understand his impact?
I think his impact is truly profound. He was absolutely the crucial bridge. He took Egypt from the chaos and uncertainty of the post-Tamarna period and steered it back towards stability and glory, paving the way for the heights of the 19th dynasty.
The great restorer.
The ultimate restorer, yes. Militarily, he secured the borders and reasserted Egyptian strength. And through his incredible patronage of the arts, he presided over this unparalleled flourishing of artistic expression. The quality is just remarkable.
And he set up his son, Ramesses the Great, perfectly.
Absolutely. He solidified the throne, handed over a strong, centralized kingdom, a powerful military. He gave Ramesses II the perfect platform to build his own legendary reign upon.
It really is quite something, isn't it? Seti the Thirst, the name invoking chaos, but the reality being the restoration of order and just this profound beauty he brought back to Egypt.
It's a fascinating contrast.
It makes you wonder,
Okay.
What lessons could we maybe take today in our own complex, often turbulent times? What can we learn from a leader who clearly understood that lasting power, real legacy, comes not just from military might, the strength of the sword, but also from that enduring power of art, of culture, of restoration? Something to think about.